Well, I decided to continue on with watching horror movies, although this one's really old, way back from the early 80s. Well, not really old, but old enough. And I'd seen it once, and I vaguely recall it. I don't think I was paying attention to it much. But I always had some fascination with it because of the visuals of the monster in this, the Radu Molasar. And the premise is not bad. It's actually intriguing. And but I'd seen it in a magazine. I don't think it was Starlog. I think it was the Fantastic Films magazine, and had a piece on it, and so you got a pretty good look at the imagery and whatnot. But the basic premise is it's in 1941, the Nasties take over this small town where there is the Keep. So it's this old structure, and some of the caretakers of it are very anxious and nervous about it, and they don't want them messing with it. Now, right off the bat, some of the soldiers, there's all these rather shiny metallic, they call them crosses, but they look more like T's. But anyway, the soldiers thinking, hey, I think those are silver. So they want to cut them down from the wall and make some money off of this deal. And they're rebuked initially, but eventually they're on guard at night and they decide to do it. Well, one of the T's starts glowing very brightly, so something is weird afoot. And the soldiers, instead of being rather alarmed by this, decide, hey, come on, that really is silver. Let's just take it. And so they go and they cut it off. The whole block that the silver T or cross is embedded in comes out. So it opens a hole in the wall. And he says, wow, I bet this is a shaft that leads to more treasure. So he crawls in and then nearly falls through because there's this ginormous pit in there. And then it turns out there's this like entire sort of altar-like thing down below, but it's huge. It's a long drop. And then all of a sudden, some glowing thing appears and zaps the guy, and the other soldier pulls him back in, only to find that there's only half of him left. And then he too gets zapped by something. There's like clouds and wind and everything and all this stuff. So, there was something in the keep that was meant to keep, but they opened it up, and now it's out. So, the nasty commanders, or at least the SS that shows up, decides, the village people have killed these soldiers, and so they start executing, about 5 villagers for every German soldier killed, or something like that, which was standard practice in the war, in reality, but the main, the platoon commander or whatever, he says, no, it's not that, there's something else going on here and all this stuff. And and like, what are you going to tell me? It's cursed or whatever. And there's some bizarre inscription on the wall, and they can't decipher it. The local priest tells them, well, the only guy I think would know it is this historian. But, there's a problem. And, well, what is it? Well, he's Jewish. Oh, yeah? But so it throws in this irony that the Nasties are now dependent on a Jewish man to help them figure out what this is. He reads it, but all it says is, I will be free, and he doesn't quite understand what it is. And he's trying to just get out of the country. He's got some debilitating illness. He's wheelchair bound, and he's played by Ian McKellen, a young Ian McKellen, although playing an older man, being taken care of by his daughter. The daughter gets attacked by the Nasties. They decide they're going to have their way with her. Suddenly, the mysterious entity appears dispatches the soldiers, sucking their souls out, it appears, and rescues her, brings her back to her father, and communicates with him. The father says, well, these people are killing my people and all this stuff. And then the entity heals Ian McKellen's character of his illness, and he actually looks younger and whatnot and all this stuff because he was not that old at the time. And he's wearing a very bad wig. And all this stuff. Meanwhile, just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, another character's introduced. He's off in Greece. He wakes up, and his eyes are glowing and all this stuff. And so he's got to get to the keep. So he buys a trip on a boat to get there and all this stuff. And so, oh boy, the awakening of this apparent demon has awakened this other guy to think, oh, he must be some kind of angel or something. And he's just been, I don't know, hanging around Europe waiting for some idiot to let this guy go. But just in and out of that this military outfit, albeit the nasty party military outfit, stumbles upon this, and it unwittingly unleashes this horror, is not that bad of a premise. But the introduction of this guy, the stranger that shows up, is it just suddenly he's there, and there's just not a whole lot to it after that. Obviously, the Jewish historian, he's more than willing to help out the entity because the entity saved his daughter, he cured him, he's killing nasties, so what does he care, after what they've done, all this type of stuff. The actual military commander is somewhat sympathetic to him, but obviously the SS commander is not. And the SS guy kills the commander, believing a cross would protect him. But of course, it's just like with the vampire deal, I suppose. It didn't help him at all. The Molasar dispatches him, as well as the entire Nazi regiment there. They kill the stranger, but of course he can't be killed. They should have noticed that when the bullets hit him, he was glowing and stuff. But the interesting, weird thing, there's another, just all of a sudden, when the stranger arrives, before this final battle happens, he just starts having sex with the daughter. Just met him. It was stupid, he just does it. And then goes up to the keep and gets shot by the nasties, seemingly is dead. Meanwhile, a Jewish historian claims that how he did this. I mean, later it shows him walking out, so I guess there was a doorway into the pit that was, massive. But he gets there, and he's able to remove this final talisman that Molasar needs him to do in order for him to leave. And so he does, and it's this glowing thing, and finally when you get a good look at it, it looks like some sort of alien technology. So I'm guessing this was not a demon, but rather some sort of alien. The other guy's an alien, there to make sure he stays imprisoned, and I guess that's it. I don't know. So he manages to get out of the keep, and he's supposed to leave the confines of it and get rid of the talisman, so then Molasar can leave the keep. And, his daughter confronts him, and because of her brand new boyfriend that she just banged, no, take it back. It's wrong. And he's argues with her, whatever. Suddenly Molasar shows up. Yeah, just kill her. And then suddenly the historian says, kill my daughter? Hey, wait a minute. Maybe you're the bad guy after all. So then Molasar cripples him again, removing the healing he had given him earlier. And then suddenly the stranger shows up with his superpowers, and he grabs the talisman. Turns out he's got a stick that it fits on and becomes his laser weapon, I guess. Blasts Molasar. Molasar falls back into the keep. And then I guess the keep then also sucks in the stranger, so now he's stuck too, I suppose. I don't know. The end. Father and daughter leave. And the townspeople went insane because of the Molasar's influence, I suppose. Wasn't a whole lot of context there. You just had to take the word for it. The priest goes crazy and sacrifices his dog to God or some crap. I don't know. And the stupidity of it is enhanced to even more stupidity by the soundtrack. It's really awful. It was Tangerine Dream, but it just doesn't apply to this World War II horror scenario, directed by Michael Mann. And it just wasn't any good. The only thing interesting about it is the effects on the monster himself. Granted, they keep him in the dark and stuff so you can't see how it is, but overall it's kind of this interesting look. But of course, it's just an alien. I at times wondered if this would fit into the Gollum legend and that sort of thing, and that this Gollum got out of hand by the guy who conjured him to take out the nasties or something like that. Might have been an approach, but it's just so clumsy and incoherent in a lot of ways. It had an initial premise and a style to it, and then didn't bother to do much else. So pretty bad. I think I heard there was some interest in remaking it, but they gotta beef it up with more of a story than that, because there's just not enough there. So it's pretty bad. And the music is just god-awful. So don't revisit that music. Nothing against Tangerine Dream. I just don't think it was a good fit for this. And especially, you want to have music that kind of fits the era and stuff, you know. That didn't really work there. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. So, there you go. The Keep. Well, they can keep it.